This is an HP thermal inkjet printhead. It prints a swath 4 1/4 inches or 108 millimeters wide. The ink drop generators are on 5 staggered silicon chips called die placed along the bottom. Each die is about an inch long and can have 2100 and even 4200 nozzles. So some versions of this printhead have 21,000 nozzles. HP scalable printing technology uses single die and multiple overlapping die to build printheads of different widths. The die are customized for inks and drop weights to meet the different needs of business, enterprise, commercial, and industrial printing applications. Scalability and high nozzle density are key features of HP's scalable printing technology. There are 2 groups of nozzles near the left and right edges of the die. Each group has its own ink supply, so the printhead can print 1 or 2 colors. With one ink, the 2 groups provide built-in nozzle redundancy for reliable quality and high-speed printing. A bead of epoxy at each end protects connections to electronic circuits on the die. Zooming in closer, you can see the left-hand group has 2 columns of nozzles. Let's cut away most of the die to look in cross-section at the area around one ink feed slot. The cyan region is filled with HP water-based ink. The wedge-shaped area is an ink feed slot cut through the silicon that supplies ink to the nozzles. The printhead's electronic and fluidic components are built on a silicon substrate, shown in gray. HP builds thousands of identical nozzles and chambers on each die. A high-resolution optical process used with light-sensitive polymers produces features with integrated circuit precision. When generating drops, the nozzles in the 2 columns fire in a sequence that minimizes fluidic interference. Let's take a closer look at a drop generator. So you can see inside, we've made the nozzle plate and cyan ink transparent. 3 walls surround a heater resistor on the silicon, and the chamber is open to the ink supply through a restriction. 2 pillars prevent particles from clogging the chamber and nozzle. The nozzle is filled with ink, and the meniscus is the surface where the ink meets the air. A human hair is thicker than the chamber and nozzle together. The clock shows time in microseconds. The resistor heats the ink, and a bubble of ink vapor pushes ink out of the nozzle and down the refilled channel. Bubble collapse pulls the meniscus and fresh ink into the chamber. The bubble collapses at 20 microseconds, and the meniscus settles at about 50 microseconds. The chamber and nozzle are designed for specific drop weight and ink properties. Here's a detailed look at drop breakoff. When it separates from the meniscus, the drop's tail isn't moving at all, and then surface tension pulls it downward. Breakoff is driven by the outward motion of the ink and retraction of the meniscus during bubble collapse. Drop ejection typically produces a main drop and smaller trailing drops called satellites. The drops are moving at about 10 meters or 33 feet per second. The gap between the printhead and the paper is about 1 millimeter. The flight time is about 100 microseconds, and by the time the drops arrive, another vapor bubble could have grown and collapsed to produce another drop out of this nozzle. Here the paper is shown moving under the printhead at about 200 feet per minute, or a little over 1 meter per second. The elapsed time on paper is shown in milliseconds. Drops of water-based ink sit on the surface of plain paper before absorption begins. Paper surface chemistry and coatings affect how long this takes. The ink now wets the surface and spreads out to form a dot. Ink is made from a colorless ink vehicle and a colorant, which is a dye or pigment. With HP pigment inks, pigments remain near the surface to produce a durable image with dark blacks and vivid colors. As it is absorbed, the ink vehicle binds the pigments to the paper. This HP inkjet printhead can produce more than 150 million drops per second, and some designs can produce more than 300 million drops per second. HP thermal inkjet technology. Dependable printing with the quality, productivity, and versatility to support a wide range of applications, from the desktop to the factory floor. Now you know what happens inside an HP thermal inkjet printhead and on paper after you hit print.